Hello, everyone. I'm Karissa Dunham from Shining Light on Minnesota. Today we have a special guest with us, Mike Martin. Welcome, Mike.
Welcome. Thanks. I appreciate it.
You bet. So let's dig right in. Let's tell everybody how you got started in Ramsey County being a sheriff and kind of what got you into that role.
So I've been in law enforcement for 35 years. I started at the airport police department for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then I went to the Minneapolis Police Department, and I actually was there for 25 years. Retired from there, thought I was done in law enforcement, although I kept doing a lot of training and consulting for police agencies. I went to work for the University of Minnesota for 4 years doing emergency planning and preparedness. And then a friend of mine, Bob Fletcher, was elected as the sheriff in Ramsey County and asked me to come and run his specialized units. And now I've been there for 6 years.
Awesome. Let's kind of take a step back. How has, like, when your first day, when you started your role to your role now, how do they compare?
At the first day
On the job
on the job,
compared to now.
geez.
Like, let's tell everybody a little bit about the differences and where you're at.
I started out as I was a community service officer at the airport, so
Yeah.
that's a little different. Then when I went to Minneapolis, I was a patrol officer,
Right.
just going call to call, and it was very busy. It was during the early 90s, and there was crack cocaine had come to Minnesota, and so we were dealing with a lot of drug dealers
Yep.
and gang members, and it was just crazy
Right.
running around. And now it's interesting because now I run a lot of investigative units, but I still do a lot of the gang work.
Yep.
And but I've worked my way up to a position where now I can kind of influence how that's done,
Absolutely.
and which makes a huge difference.
Yep.
A lot of people want to get promoted to make more money,
Yep.
or to have more authority. But for me, it was being able to influence how we did our work.
Right. Who have been some of your mentors growing up and getting you to where you are today?
My dad was a great example for me. He worked really hard.
Yeah.
Obviously, my mom took care of us
Yeah.
at home and had to deal with 4 little rugrats. But my dad traveled the world,
Right.
and he worked for Control Data, which is how I grew up in San Diego.
Okay.
But then we moved here. We moved to Salt Lake City for a couple of years, and then here. But I really looked up to my dad because he worked so hard. And when he was off, all he wanted to do was help other people.
Right.
And, whether he could fix their washing machine or their air conditioning, I mean, he just had a heart for service to other people. When I became a police officer, I worked for a sergeant who, if you looked at him, you'd think, oh, he's an old, tough, grizzled cop, right?
Yep.
But yet he went out of his way to take care of us as young kids,
Right.
to kind of guide us. His name was Art Hart. He's still around. He's not a cop anymore,
Right.
but Art was a great guy. And then, I've had the opportunity to just meet a ton of excellent people. I've been able to travel all over the country doing training and meeting people who kept me motivated.
Yeah. How important is it for you now with the younger generations to kind of fill in that role that Art has filled in for you, mentoring the younger generations to keep them motivated to want to be a sheriff, be a police officer, get in enforcement?
It's very important to me. I have, part of my mission now is to help the younger officers and deputies.
Yeah.
And give them the opportunities that I had, but make it fun,
Right.
make it rewarding for them, because a lot of them, they need that.
They do.
They need somebody to, not hold their hand, but to guide them. And, policing has changed tremendously, and the tolerance for any errors now
Yep.
is very low.
Yeah.
We have cameras everywhere. Even losing your temper and using profanity
Right.
is enough to get someone in trouble. So you really have to work hard, instill values. It's really important that the deputies know, hey, this is what I expect. This is what we as an agency value. But I'm lucky because I supervise specialized units, so people have to want to be there.
Right.
And that's really rewarding to me, is to see them get motivated.
For sure. How hard is it when you're out on a job and you come across people that it probably makes you want to step up your game and do the right thing even more when you're dealing with people that aren't following the rules that obviously.
It is harder, and but the bottom line is I have to set that example.
Absolutely.
I mean, as an undersheriff, I work for the sheriff, but my job is to kind of set the tone for the troops and say, hey, this is what we value. They know that I value proactive work. I want you to be out there getting ahead of crime.
Yes.
I want you to know who all the bad guys and gals are.
Yep.
I want you to know who they're dating, what they drive,
Absolutely.
where they live.
Everything about it.
And just yesterday there was a murder in the city of St. Paul.
Yep.
And we jumped in and we're providing intelligence related to some of the individuals involved. And that's, really what makes a difference.
For sure. How do you stay ahead of the game as far as what's out there, what's on the streets, like where the fentanyl is or where the people are, who they're associated with, everything like that?
It's I also run our violent crime enforcement team, which is high-level drug trafficking.
Yep.
And I'm constantly studying the national trends and what's happening, because what happens at the border or what happens on the coast ends up coming here.
Right.
And I was just actually fortunate enough a few weeks ago to go down to the border in San Diego and tour the San Ysidro entry point and see how they vet people coming into the country, and the trends in concealment of drugs in vehicles and on people's person. And I bring that stuff back and
get those processes set in place.
But we have some great, our violent crime enforcement team just received an award for being the most effective team in the state of Minnesota, so we're pretty excited about that.
Outstanding. How has it changed in the last couple of years with all the defund the police, when your guys are out there knowing that people don't necessarily want them out there, but there are good people that want them in, knowing that there are people that welcome them into the community and having them have friends outside of the force?
Yeah, that's a great question, because especially since the George Floyd incident, things have changed dramatically.
Yeah.
And we really had to look inside and do some introspection and say, hey, what can we do differently? And part of that is just developing those relationships with the community. It's amazing how the difference between what you see on TV on the defund the police and when we interact with people actually on the street. Our deputies get a ton of positive feedback and, hey, we support you and thanks for doing what you do. Thanks for your service. I always laugh because people, if I'm in uniform, they'll say thanks for your service.
Or you walk in somewhere, hey, let me buy you a meal quick.
Well,
let's do this.
Yeah. And I love it, but I kind of laugh inside because, I love doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So for me, it's rewarding.
Yeah.
But part of that is we have to keep developing relationships with the community so that we have good people. Right. And then our deputies take ownership in serving those people.
Right. Do you find that it's easier for the younger generation and the guys coming in, or do you allow people to live in the communities that they work in, or do you have them live and work outside the communities they work in?
It's interesting. When I was at Minneapolis, we went through a period where officers had to live in the city.
Yep.
And my wife, Ann, was also a Minneapolis cop, and she had to live in the city. I didn't, but we lived in Northeast, and there was positives to that, but there were negatives. We had people come to our door because they were in a fight with their spouse. Right. And that makes it tough. And when you have to send your kids to school with kids of people that you're arresting. But our deputies, a lot of them live in Ramsey County. It's a little different because it's spread out. And they love living in the county. I live in the county. Yep. So there's some positives to it. And I don't think people should be told where they have to live. Right. But but there are some benefits. We do have deputies that live in inner city St. Paul or in Minneapolis, actually. And it's good because they bring a perspective that some of our others don't.
How has the mental health changed as far as the calls that you guys get? Do you have social workers that have to go out with you? Do you guys go out on those calls, or is it strictly specific officers that go out?
We still go out on those calls. We're in the process, the county is, of developing an alternative response initiative that would send mental health workers, social workers out to some calls, but that's tough because a lot of times the reason there's a call is there's some type of crisis and the person's acting out. And, if you're a social worker, mental health worker, do you want to go to a call where someone's threatening suicide or to harm people? So it's tough. But a lot of agencies now are partnering. And I think eventually that'll be the model.
What do you see as the biggest crime right now, or what are the most calls in Ramsey County, or what kind of hit or miss?
It's kind of hit or miss right now, but I think we're seeing a lot of people that are very stressed out. We've seen an increase in suicides. People that are in a mental health crisis. And part of that is driven by people's reliance on social media and the legacy media for all their information. And they're told the sky is falling. And they don't see any of the positive stuff, which is the hard part. I mean, I can tell you every day we have 2 or 3 incidents where our deputies go away above and beyond to help people, to get them food, to house them, and you're never going to see that in the news.
No, not at all. It's always the negative, right?
It's always the negative, and unfortunately, that wears on people, especially people who already have, mental illness.
What do you guys do for the deputies for their mental health training for themselves?
We have in-service training that everyone has to attend, talking about how to treat yourself, keep yourself healthy. We offer yoga classes. We have CrossFit. I'm trying to think of what they
just
call
different
it,
things,
but different things that the deputies can do. We also have an app, actually, where they can go on there and research different things if they're struggling. And then we have retained counselors, therapists who can work with the officers, all of whom are prior law enforcement. So the officers feel a lot more comfortable with them.
For sure. How, like, when you go home, what have been some of the easiest distressors, and what are some of the things you want people to know outside of the badge that help you?
Going to Lifetime Fitness and
Yep.
working out, walking, relaxing.
Yep.
I like to relax sometimes. Traveling
Yep.
helps because it's really one of the few times when I can shut off work
Right.
and enjoy myself. But you just have to have things that you do that are not related to the job.
Right.
The too many officers don't.
Mm-hmm.
Their whole life is wrapped up in being a police officer
Right.
or sheriff's deputy, and then they retire and they don't know what to do.
Right.
And, unfortunately, that ends up with a lot of drinking.
Yes. Yep.
And
The addiction kind of kicks in
yes.
then. Yep. As far as all your fun and traveling, do you guys have any traveling coming up?
we don't have anything scheduled coming up.
Not
but
yet.
Part of that is because we've traveled a lot this spring.
Yeah.
We were in Austin
Fun.
for a few days. We were in Fort Myers Beach. So
So you have some kids. They've been keeping you busy too. They've
Oh, yeah.
been doing some sports and doing a bunch of things, which is another side effect that's your why and keeps you driven, things like that too. A lot of times I feel like when people have kids, that keeps them motivated, keeps them going, and kind of keeps them in their own world.
it does. Tyler's working at Golf Galaxy.
Yep.
He loves to golf, and he's really enjoying himself that way.
Yep.
And Nick just graduated from St. Thomas
Nice.
this last weekend, and he's a worker bee. He loves
Yep.
to work. And Kelly is a freshman at St. Thomas. And
Amazing.
playing club lacrosse, and that's why we were in Austin, because they were in the national championship down there, which
Yes.
was fun. And it makes a huge difference.
So if you put down your badge and you say, okay, what is something I want the generations coming up to know me for? What do you think that would be?
I want to be known as a guy that was a good cop, but that treated people well.
Right.
And really helped. I mean, I look back at how many people I've talked into becoming cops.
Yeah.
And how many young cops I've mentored over the years, and to see some of them rise to positions now where they're lieutenants and deputy chiefs and on the FBI's Safe Streets Task Force, and so they're leaders now.
Yep.
That's huge. But someday I want to write a book.
Yep.
I want to write a book of just all the experiences that I've had, because it's
Mind blowing.
been
I'm sure.
a blast.
Yep.
Yeah.
What has been one of the funniest stories that you've had on the job?
Oh boy, we had. I think you'll appreciate this story. So after Tom Lehman
Yep.
won the British Open, he came back and he was staying at the Hilton
Yep.
in downtown Minneapolis, and there was a big event there.
Yep.
And a call comes out that someone stole the Claret Cup.
Oh boy.
And what had happened was his sister took the cup and thought it would be fun to go to some bars.
As a prank.
And she went into Britt's pub. And the owner of Britt's pub knew what it was.
Yep.
And didn't know who she was.
Oh Lord.
And called. Well, then by the time we went there, they had moved to another bar. And we ended up tracking them down and
Oh geez.
finding out it was his sister.
Oh,
And we had to
geez.
verify that it was his sister. So
Yep.
I had to wake him up, and I'm sure he'd had a long night
Oh,
of
yeah.
celebrating.
Yep.
And so we ended up getting a picture. Unfortunately, it's
Of
a
course.
Polaroid
Yep.
because of the days.
Here's the little picture.
But that was probably one of the funniest
Yep.
things I've been involved in. But I've gotten to do some unbelievable things.
Yeah. What has been one of the most difficult obstacles that you've had that it just sticks with you everywhere you go? Or a
Just
life lesson?
the fact it sucks that people will hurt other people.
Yeah.
Like the cruelty of people
Yep.
gets to me.
It does.
And the fact that they really don't care, some people. And understanding that there's certain people that just you can't treat or you can't reform.
Right.
That's a hard part because
Yep.
you want to believe that people all have a good
There's
side.
a good part.
And
Yep.
and it's funny. I've interviewed and arrested, dozens of murderers,
Yeah.
and I've talked to them, and some of them seem like some of the nicest people that you've ever met. But when one time I was at federal court to testify in a big gang RICO case, and I'm out in the hallway playing with the little daughter of the
course.
defendant, who I've known since he was 12, and now he's in his 20s,
Yep.
and talking to his mom, because the first time I interacted with him, I developed a relationship with his mom, trying to tell her, hey, look, he's hanging with these guys.
Yep.
And I'm out there playing with this kid, waiting to testify to send him to prison for probably 20 years.
Yep.
And then I walk into court, and it's federal court, so it's a formal,
Very formal. Closed door. Yep.
big courtroom. And I walk in, and he turns around and says, hey, Martin.
Oh boy.
And it's his attorneys like,
Don't do it.
Don't,
Yep. Don't associate.
and it's just sad.
Yeah.
It really is. It's sad to watch the path that some of these kids take.
Well, I'm sure because you have tried to help them so many times in the past, and you think they're going in the right direction, and they keep falling down the crack.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of them, I always give them my cell phone number.
Yep.
And they call.
Yeah.
They'll call
They wanna do
when
better,
they
they
have
just can't.
struggles.
Yep.
Yeah. But they're stuck in a cycle
Yep.
that they don't know how to get out of. And now you have kids that didn't go to school all during COVID.
Right.
Didn't engage in
And that was one of
online
the worst
stuff.
things for kids with the mental help and just everything that they lost.
And a lot of them spend all their time on social media. They're smoking pot.
Yeah.
They're not going to school. I remember stopping a kid one day. He was 14. And I asked him where he went to school. And he said, I don't go to school. And I said, well, what school are you supposed to go to?
Yep.
I don't know. He didn't even know what school he was supposed
Jeez
to be
Louise.
in. And, it's really hard.
It is. It's those people that you almost want to just take in yourself, and just you want to take everybody in and help them and be like, okay, what's one more kid? We have 7. Why not one more, right?
Right,
Oh.
yeah.
It's frustrating, but it's one of those that you can only help so much, and there's only so much that you can do, and it's amazing to see every day there's something new, but you also get to see some good, I'm sure, and some life stories that you have helped and have revived and changed around. Tell our viewers a little bit about some good that you've made happen.
I was, about 2 years ago, I went into Chipotle
Yep.
in St. Anthony.
Yep.
And there was a guy in a postal worker's outfit who came out, and he goes, hey, Martin, how you doing?
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm sorry,
Do I know you?
I don't recognize you. And he told me his name, and I immediately knew who he
And it
was
clicked.
then. And he said, hey, I'm doing really well. I have kids now. I'm working for the post office. And that's the kind of stuff where I'm like, okay, it's worth it.
It's going to give you the chills. Yeah. It's why I do what I do.
Absolutely. And the times when you get to help people are tremendous. They make it rewarding.
Yep. Absolutely. So what's next on the agenda? What do you see coming up in the future?
It's interesting. I think AI for law enforcement is a huge topic right now.
Yep.
How do you incorporate the use of AI into law enforcement, especially in intelligence?
Yep.
It, for me, that's the more interesting. Now,
Right.
there are people who want to use it for report writing.
Yep.
I'm not a big advocate of that
No.
because your report should be your reflections
Authentic,
on
yep.
what you saw.
Yep.
But for intelligence, it's huge. So how do we use that
Yep.
in a way that's going to make us more effective and
Work
keep
smarter,
the
not
community
harder. Yep.
safe?
What do you feel? What are your thoughts on cameras use with AI, technology, robotics, everything like that?
We use license plate readers. We have cameras.
Yeah.
They're called flock cameras that allow us to read a license plate. It
Yep.
runs the license
Absolutely.
plate automatically, tells us,
Yep.
so we get, if a stolen car goes into Rosedale's parking lot,
Yep.
we know it.
Absolutely.
And then you'll get a picture of the car.
Yep.
I'll get an alert on my phone. Now, Roseville obviously runs those, but
Yep.
I still will get
You'll
a
still
picture
know.
on my phone. This car, which is stolen, just
Right.
came into this parking lot. And we use that a lot for finding stolen cars and carjacked cars. And, I think it's huge. We just have to balance the privacy issues.
Right.
Which, a lot of people don't realize how many times a day your car hits on
Yep.
LPR with a squad. Our squad cars have it in the cars.
Absolutely.
It's everywhere.
Yep.
It's at places you'd never think of. And that's a tremendous tool as long as it's used
Correctly.
appropriately.
Yep. What do you think with the way technology is going in people's cars? Obviously, maps, technology, texting, everything like that with the hands-free, Blue Cruise, everything like that, people being able to go more hands-free in their cars. Do you think that that's going to be more of a safety issue?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like the self-driving
Right.
cars. I mean, I don't trust that it's been perfected
Right.
enough yet. But here's the other thing is now, if we have a car that's involved in a murder, for example,
Right.
or a chase,
Yep.
we can download the computer in that car.
Yep.
I could tell you second by second
Absolutely.
how fast they were driving, whether they were turning or not, whether their lights were on,
Yep.
whose phone was hooked up to the Bluetooth in the car.
Yep.
So, that technology now is so unbelievable
Yep.
that, it makes you wonder what's next.
Right. Well, I mean, with everything, with the TVs in the house and everybody being connected everywhere they go, it's great to have that availability for if something does happen, whether you fall down, whether somebody's chasing you, whether anything happens, to be able to get a hold of somebody when you need something. Yes.
Yeah, it's nice, but it's semi-scary.
It is, yeah.
For us, we love it,
Yep.
obviously, but it helps us find
Yeah.
carjacked cars and track suspects.
Yep.
And I think people don't realize how much your car communicates with the manufacturer and whatever.
Absolutely.
They're constantly upgrading
All the updates and
software and
everything.
whatever, which is being done. You don't ever see it. You
Yep.
don't know it. But, we can write a search warrant and get the information.
Yep. So technology-wise, for kids growing up in the future, obviously when grandkids and everything like that are getting older, it's going to be crazy. I mean, what they're going to be able to do, obviously having to be able to communicate is going to, we were talking about that earlier, is going to be key. And it'll be interesting to see how many kids are able to still communicate face-to-face.
There a lot of our young deputies that we hire.
Yep.
They just have a difficulty carrying on that face-to-face conversation.
Yep.
Or writing a report because
Right.
they're used to texting
A
and
quick
it's
short,
all
the short text, not
short,
even a
yeah.
long version.
and So you have to remind them that, no, you can't do that. And you can't interview a suspect
Right.
or even a victim that way.
Right.
You know,
You can't see the emotion behind it, and you can't really probably get the feel of it.
well, and you can't develop a rapport with
Right.
that person.
Yep.
And so, you know, we've seen one particular deputy that we have, when she started, she had a real difficult time, but now she's gotten tremendous
Nice.
at doing that, at
Yep.
interviewing people and talking to them and communicating. And so, you know, it's still there.
It's a work in progress. Yep.
Yeah.
It's probably been a big step for some of the deputies that have been there for a long time that are used to just picking up the phone and having those conversations versus the ones that are always on their phone and trying to get back to, okay, I've got to put the phone down and actually talk to people and interview people and everything like that too.
Well, and they love to set up text strings.
Yep.
Which drives me nuts.
Yes. Yep.
Because they go off all day and all night.
Nonstop.
And, you know, we have a car theft. So any car that's stolen,
Yep.
that's reported in the county, or a carjacking from the metro area, I'll get a text. We have a text string for intelligence. We have one for just our carjacking and auto theft team. So they set up these text strings, and it drives me nuts.
Yep. What about all the people that are out there that are trying to solve crimes on their own? How much does that help or hurt?
You know, in some ways it hurts.
Yeah.
I mean, and sometimes they can help bring attention to a cold case, which is nice.
Yep.
But sometimes it hurts because they assume things
Yep.
that any officer, someone who has the experience, knows not to assume.
Right.
And so it's always helpful to ask the community for, hey, did you see anything? Did you hear anything? That kind of stuff. But people who consider themselves detectives,
right?
I mean, I listen to some true crime podcasts, and they drive me nuts because they'll say stuff, and I'm like, that's not how it works.
No, right.
That's not, you know.
Well, they don't always see two sides to every story either. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot that happens behind the scenes, and there's a lot that happens behind closed doors that people don't know, right?
But I think you know, when they bring attention to a cold case that maybe's been forgotten.
For sure. Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's great.
Yep. It's interesting to see, I mean, the way the world's changing. Obviously, it's happened through COVID, through the George Floyd, through all the officers growing and changing and wanting everybody out there again. But I feel like more and more people are wanting to get back out on the force now, where for a while it was slowing down and nobody wanted to be a police officer, and now we're rebuilding and kind of getting the precincts back out there and getting everything out there. What do you see with the growth?
Definitely, we're getting more applicants now. For a while, we were just stealing from each other.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, Roseville officer, we'll pay you more. We'll give you a better position. Or you know, everybody was stealing from each other.
Yep.
And we were losing them as fast as we were getting them.
Right.
And which mainly hurts the small departments that don't pay as well.
Yep.
And don't have as many officers. But now we're getting more applicants. I think people are, you know, realizing that it's a great profession, and it pays really well.
It does.
I mean, it's funny because I remember when I was a cop, people like, well, you just make, you know, minimum wage or you this or that. And I'm like, dude, if you only knew.
The retirement plan, I mean, everything that you have. Yep.
The pension.
Yep.
The medical, you know, all that stuff. And now we're paying our deputies really well, and all the agencies are. So it's a great career for someone.
For sure. What is the retirement like? I mean, obviously, I know our viewers might not know. I know what it's like, but tell people what it's like and what the work plan is to get to be where you are today, and what schooling is like and everything too.
So schooling, you have to have a 4 or a 2-year degree.
Yep.
You have to go through a state skills program,
Yep.
which is generally 3 months, where you learn how to drive and shoot, and you learn the state laws and that kind of stuff. And then you get hired by an agency, and generally they'll put you through their own academy,
Yep.
which just depends. The bigger agencies will run their own academy. Otherwise, they may send you to another academy or do on-the-job type training. And but then you go through a probationary period.
Yep.
But the retirement is basically based on 3% per year that you worked of your high 5 earning years.
Right.
So I should have waited to retire, but when I retired from Minneapolis,
Yep.
I had 25 years on, so it was 75% of my high 5
Yep.
earning years. And you get that's your pension.
Yep.
And then there are cost of living adjustments. Every once in a while, they'll throw in, the legislature will throw in a bone like
Yeah.
they did this year.
Yep.
But it's a great retirement.
Well, and I feel like a lot of times when when the sheriffs or whomever retire in the agency, they come back and work part-time. They do the admin work. They do the little stuff just because they want to keep busy. It's one of those things you lose it, you don't use it, you lose it kind of thing too. And you
That's
miss
true.
it. You miss the crew, you miss everybody.
We hire back officers and deputies to work in our courts,
Yep.
to be the bailiffs
Absolutely.
in the court. We have some that do other things.
Yep.
So it's and for me, now I'm making my salary from Ramsey County,
Yep.
and my pension goes into an escrow account, which I can have access to.
Yes. Yep.
So it's
working.
nice.
Yep. Well, we really appreciate having you on today. We look forward to seeing you in the future, seeing Ann and the kids, and hopefully we'll be able to have you on again in the future when you're retired and doing some more traveling and hear what's new and the latest and greatest technology.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yep, you bet. Thank you, Mike.